At the top of our news on this hot July day, Harris County commissioners say plans for the first ever public defender's office are moving forward. It's been 8 months since the commissioners created the office, but the jury is still out on when its doors will actually open for business. The office will give the mentally ill and indigent a shot at legal representation. Harris County Judge Ed Emmit says once the office is up and running, it'll go a long way toward relieving overcrowding inside the jails.
I know the district attorney has been real keen on getting some people out of the criminal justice system that really shouldn't be here. It's clogging the system for very minor offenses. And a lot of those people are the same ones who can't afford an attorney, so they end up in the Harris County jail when they really shouldn't. So the combination of what she's doing and the public defender, I think, will put us in pretty good stead.
Now, Houston is one of the last major cities without a public defender's office. Once open, attorneys there will help with misdemeanor charges and appeals cases for the indigent. Activists and civil rights leaders say such an office is long overdue, giving people a fair defense in the court system. Some question why it isn't being fast-tracked, but Judge Ed Emmit says he thinks those behind the push are pleased with the progress.
If you don't have people complaining about something, then that's usually a good thing. It is just getting off the ground, though, and I think the people who really wanted it and pushed it would be in here regularly if they thought it wasn't going the way they thought it should.
Now, the county launched the office with a $4 million state grant, but eventually it will need about $7 million a year to operate. Former New York federal public defender Alex Bunin was hired to head the office. He began his legal career right here in Houston, Texas. Now, the public defender's office should expand its caseload to include juvenile and felony cases within 2 years. We now turn to retired defense attorney Jim Skelton for further discussion on the public defender's office. Mr. Skelton, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
All right, so tell us, how does the process of someone getting a court-appointed attorney and how have this office, how can they make a difference or make things better for a defender?
Well, first off, you have to understand the system that currently operates. In felony cases, we have what we call two different ways of having a lawyer appointed. One of them is called the ad hoc system, where a lawyer is appointed on individual cases, and they vary who the lawyer will be. Then we have a system, Judge McSpadden most notoriously has what they call a contract defender, but she keeps permanent lawyers on staff that do nothing but defend people in his court. And the problem with both of those systems is real simple. It'd be like being in a football game when your opponent has the ability to hire and fire the referee. It's exactly what it amounts to, because if you're employed by the judge, you're going to do what most people do, is make sure the judge is happy. That may comport with a good defense. Oftentimes it doesn't. And the defendant suffers if they sacrifice their loyalty to the judge or the defense of the defendant. And I know that to be true. Well, I've been helping some people. I got a case in Judge McSpadden's court, and a lawyer by the name of Ken Good, who's one of his contract lawyers, is an idiot. And then he turned in a brief that if he worked for a private company or a private law firm, they would have fired him. It was a horrible piece of work. And he did that. The defendant got absolutely no representation from Ken Good, because Ken Good was primarily, he didn't have loyalty to the client. He was loyalty to Judge McSpadden.
So you think that you agree with some activists who believe that the quality of legal service can improve with the office in place?
Certainly improve what we've got now. I'm not saying it's perfect. One of the problems, and it was real interesting, about a year and a half ago, the New York Times did an article on public defenders. And the federal systems had public defenders for a long time. And a judge, in fact, a retired judge, wrote the op-ed piece for the New York Times. And what was shocking, he discovered that people with appointed lawyers ended up serving more time than those people who are represented by private practitioners. And he was shocked to discover that. And I think the reason being the system, the way it works now, you got to have loyalty to the person that signs your paycheck. If a judge is the one that signs your paycheck, your loyalty is going to be to him. And in the public defender's program, it's much better. But nonetheless, the loyalty is not to the client. The loyalty is to your supervisor in the public defender's office. And and the problem is, if your client's the one that can hire and fire you, you're going to have better representation. And that's not true of the public defender program as it operates in Harris County or the ad hoc system.
What do you
Both
suggest
of them have problems, but believe me, a public defender system is much better than the one we've got now.
Well, can you just lay out the reasons, just lay it out, why it's going to make things so much better?
Yeah, I didn't say so much better. Here's the situation. and this has been going on for years in Harris County, the judiciary primarily is a retirement program for the DA's office. Most of the people sitting on the bench are ex-DAs.
But we have an elected judge system. How can that be?
Because they get appointed, and once they get appointed, they don't have opponents. Because only about 2 or 3 judges sitting on the district court bench have not been former prosecutors. Well, when there's an exodus of prosecutors leaving the DA's office, as there was when initially Pat Likas took over, these lawyers have to make a living. Well, since the judge used to work with these prosecutors, they appoint the same people to do the defending. And the problem is, the real problem with the way the ad hoc system works is, as I said before, the people who sign your paycheck is where your loyalty lies, and they're going to make sure the judge is satisfied, and that may or may not be good for the client. Because there's times you have to get crossways with the judge and be vigorous in defending your client. But if you do so and you don't get any more cases, you're not going to get crossways with. It's the real problem. Plus, another real problem is the big emphasis, and it's over and over again, is moving the docket, getting cases off the docket. And a lot of public defender, a lot of the ad hoc lawyers that are currently working now, their major job is just clear out the court's docket. Really, if you want to stop the backlogs, make these deadbeat judges work. There is not a judge in the courthouse that works 40 hours a week that I know of. Most of them don't. And I'm out to get them to go to work and streamline the way they handle cases.
Well, Jim Skelton, thank you so much for joining us. We always appreciate your insight.
No problem, yeah.
Again, we have been speaking to retired defense attorney Jim Skelton, talking about the Houston's Public Defender's Office and why it would be a good idea for the city of Houston.